We are live for UFC Vegas 78. Rozenstruik versus Gaziev. It's going down, a big heavyweight showdown in the main event. But first, we got the big three for you right after this.
Broadcasting live from an undisclosed location. This is the Community MMA with your host, Chris Cross.
Yes! Yes! Let's go, baby!
Dana White privilege.
Let's go, baby! Baby!
Welcome to the TCMMA podcast. We're live for UFC Vegas 78, and we got the big three for you. Get ready to go down right now in the first fight of the night. You got Alex Perez versus Muhammad Mokaev, and this is going to be an interesting battle because you got one guy in Perez that's used to fighting the best. I mean, this guy is used to fighting the best. He's fought everyone in the division, lost against some of the better fighters, but at one point I thought this is a guy that could win a title. Just hasn't happened. And now he gets undefeated 23-year-old Muhammad Mokaev. So tell me you're not interested in this one. At this point in time, we're 5-3 on the night. It didn't look good early for us because we started out 1-3. And it looked like we were going to go to 1-4. And I'm just shouting and screaming. And next thing you know, we're on a 4-fight win streak. And that's the way it goes sometimes. But we'll take it. All right, so here we go. Both guys staring each other down. Alex Perez, Muhammad Mokaev in a big flyweight division fight. Both fighters touch gloves, and this thing is underway. Perez number 7, Mokaev number 8. So this is kind of a crossroads fight, if you will. You know, Perez looking to win this and move back up and face some top contenders, and Mokaev undefeated, looking to show that he's worthy even at just 23 years old. I mean, the sky's the limit for this guy, even if he were to lose this fight. 20 seconds in, no strikes just yet, and Perez comes in, Mokaev backs off. And throughout the day, I'm used to saying night, but this one started at 1:30 in the afternoon. There has been finish after finish after finish, and 2 of them potentially KOs of the year. And we'll see what happens here. And already Mokaev getting off with a nice left-right uppercut combination. Now he lands a leg kick and Perez returns. First minute gone in this fight. And we're going to get down the stretch here. Umar Nurmagomedov just getting the win a moment ago. But 4 straight undefeated fighters. We've had 5 on this card. Javid Basharat fell earlier. Nurmagomedov won. And now you got Mokaev. And Mokaev just kind of towering over Perez. He's a tall flyweight. Make no mistake about it. And he's got some power, which you don't see in this division a lot. You know, before this thing started, I'm sitting here thinking, are we going to get 3 long fights? We can't, right? Because the heavyweight main event, that fight should finish by KO by somebody. That's not going 5 rounds. But here in the flyweight division, these fights are used to going the distance. I mean, you don't see a lot of big KOs in this division. You see them once in a while, but it's more technique, fundamentals, takedowns, defending takedowns, striking, but not a lot of KOs in this division. So we might be in for a 3-rounder. We'll see. 2 minutes gone now. Both fighters continually feeling each other out. And we'll get into the stats between rounds if it goes that far. We're getting shot at Alex Perez's corner. They're kind of shouting at him, telling him to step up and keep your head up. And we'll see. But now he's looking for the takedown of Perez. That's going to be difficult, right? And he's still working for it. And now both guys separate and they're back to their feet. And you're going to see that throughout this fight. A battle back and forth because both guys are that good. I mean, the top 10 in the flyweight division is ridiculous because Alex Perez is better than the number 7 to me. But that's where he stands right now. So that tells you about this division. Now both fighters shooting for multiple takedown attempts. You can't get them. So far, good takedown defense for both guys early on in this fight. And as you're watching, feel free to weigh in the chat room. We will read those comments. When we see them pop up, let us know who you think is going to win each fight. Get involved. And let's see what happens. Between fights, we got a little break for you. Looking at the reactions from earlier tonight, it was wild, especially when we were down to 1-3 earlier in the fight, because I completely expected Javid Basharat to win, and he lost. And then I'm going crazy in the fifth fight of the night, where we almost dropped to 1-4 until Vinicius Oliveira landed the flying knee KO. Probably one of the best finishes of the year so far. We're only 2 months into the season, but nonetheless, one of the best we've seen to date. Now Makayev's leaning Perez up against the fence, looking to get the takedown, but Perez defending it pretty well, and Makayev gets it. Nice. Under a minute now, not a lot of time to work. But he does take Perez down, and that's important. Final 40 seconds here. Perez kind of sitting on his butt, trying to lean forward, but Makayev has the hands wrapped around the body and trying to keep Perez on the ground. Now he takes the back. Look at this. Nice. And it's hard to believe this guy's only 23 years old. He looks 30. I mean, he's fighting like a 30-year-old in the middle of his prime. Now he's pounding away on Perez. Boy, and Perez got that hand up, but he's taking some shots right now. Blocking a lot of it, but he's taking 2 or 3 here. And 4, and a hammer, and 5, 6, 5 seconds left. He's going to get out of the round. But a great finish to the round for Muhammad Makayev. And we'll see if we get a look from the corner here. As they took 2 commercial breaks before this fight, and they go to commercial, so we will not get to see what the corner has to say. And it's real simple. I mean, if you're Makayev's corner, you say, hey, keep this thing going. Keep doing what you're doing, right? Keep doing what you're doing. If you're Perez's corner, you got to land more. You got to keep the jab going in order to prevent not only takedowns, but takedown attempts. Because even the takedown attempts that you stuff is keeping you off guard. And that's not going to work to your advantage as this fight goes on. So as we look at the stats here, it's pulling away for Makayev. 36-11 in significant strikes. Head strikes 30-2. 1 takedown on 6 attempts. Do you see what I'm saying? So 6 attempts for Makayev is keeping Perez off balance, even though he stuffed 5 of them. It's keeping him off balance. And the only way you can prevent those attempts is to keep that jab going and land uppercuts when Makayev comes in. But so far, we haven't seen that. And if Makayev can pull off this victory, the big question is going to be, can he get the finish? Because if he finishes Perez, who's number 7, Makayev's number 8, and Makayev's undefeated, he can really start to look at the top of the division. And it will be interesting after the fight when DC gives him a chance to call someone out and see who he calls out. Because a big finish, you're going to start calling out the 1 and 2 contenders for sure. The Brandon Morenos, the Brandon Royvals, and one day. Well, no, I was going to say he could face Umar one day, but that's not going to happen because Umar's bantamweight. So, yeah, Makayev seems to be potentially, especially if he wins this fight against a very good fighter in Perez, is likely the fighter of the future in this division. And we need some competition for Pantoja. I don't know if Brandon Royval gives that to him. We know Moreno's not giving it to him. So we need a fresh body to get in there and get a chance against Alexander Pantoja, and the best option right now is Makayev. About a minute through the round. We haven't missed anything here. Both guys just Makayev still trying to get takedown attempts. Perez not landing the jab enough to prevent the takedown attempts. And look, he whiffs there by 2 feet. Not even close. Now Makayev's covering up. Makayev having a little bit of trouble. Shoots for the takedown. And we're probably going to see this for the rest of the fight. Makayev tried to control the ground. Perez right there by his corner trying to get instructions. But what do you tell the guy? When you got a guy like Makayev, relentless, has his head on your hip. Now he stands up and Makayev's got your back, hands wrapped around, and still trying to get instructions from the corner. And what they're basically saying is try to get those hands unlocked. But Makhachev continually battling for position here to keep those hands locked. He wants to stay on the back of Perez, keeping his chin on the back, doing a great job, and has a leg wrapped around. So he's doing what he needs to do right now. And about the only good thing you can say for Perez right now is he's on his feet, but he's got Makhachev all over him, and Makhachev isn't letting go. Can't blame him. Makhachev lifting a leg, but he can't get it. And now it's Perez getting underneath. Now Perez is in control. Okay. Boy, and I have a feeling, and we won't know till they get to their feet, but Perez landed a nice shot before this went to the ground here about a minute ago, and Makhachev looked like he was getting a little tired. We won't know till he gets to his feet, though, because it's a ground game right now. And now Perez loses control. Makhachev takes back over. And Makhachev's relentless, man. You know, Perez is struggling to keep keep the 23-year-old off of him. Perez stands up. He's going to be able to separate. We'll see. And he does. And here we go. 90 seconds left in round 2. Perez, 83% takedown defense. He stopped 10 of 12. But the 2 he didn't stop gave Makhachev about 3.5 minutes of control time. And Makhachev's up 42-23 in significant strikes, 35-12 in head strikes. So, not looking good right now for Perez. He's got to pick up the pace here in round 2, or he's going to put himself in deep water in round 3. Come on, Makhachev. You got to drop them hands and start striking now. He's getting tired. Makhachev is getting tired. And this is a pace that Makhachev hasn't seen before, right? You're going to see this as you start to work your way up the ranks. It's not going to be as easy. And you know me, my favorite fighter is Hamzat, right? It hasn't been as easy for him as he's gone up the ranks. Doesn't mean you can't win a title. Doesn't mean you're going to lose. But it just means that you're going to go through some tough situations while you're on the rise in order to prepare you for those big fights coming up later. And that's what we're seeing right now from Makhachev. But Perez starting to do a good job here at the end of round 2. I don't know if it's going to be good enough to get the round as the final seconds tick away, and we're headed to a round 3. So here we go. Last several weeks, it seems like during the watch party, these fights are all going to a decision, man. And it leads to a long night in the big 3, but we'll take it. And we're not getting a look at the corners, and nothing much has changed since the end of round 1, other than the fact if you're Perez's corner, you can let him know, hey, you've got to finish the fight if you want to win. And you got to continue building the momentum that you built in the final minute of round 2. That's it. But you got to be real with your fighter and say, hey, you're down 2-0. You know, even a 10-8 round without a finish maybe get you a draw, but you can't count on 2 judges giving you a 10-8. You need a finish. That's the bottom line. And Makhachev's corner is telling him, you know, you won the first 2 rounds, come out strong in round 3, and then get this fight to the ground and grind it out. Both fighters touch gloves. Then they're forced back into their corner. They touch gloves again, and here we go. Final 5 minutes if we need it. And Makhachev already landing a couple combos. Perez lands a big right. Boy, and people were saying on X that Perez takes round 2. I don't know. 19-19 after 2 for the first 3 comments. I didn't see it that way. To me, Makhachev has won both the first 2 rounds. He's up 20-18. But you never know. Big strike there by Perez. Now Makhachev goes back to the ground. And now all of a sudden Perez is looking better on the ground as Makhachev tires. And if Perez goes on to win this round, it's going to be an interesting decision because it will come down to round 2. That's going to end up being the closest round more than likely. Now Perez just laying on the back of Makhachev as Makhachev gets his feet straightened out. He's trying to stand up, but it's kind of difficult when you got a guy on your back. After this, we got Vitor Petrino versus Tyson Pedro as we move up in weight real quick, right? And then we get to the main event heavyweight fight, Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Shamil Gaziev, another undefeated fighter. And please, we need Rozenstruik to win bad tonight. We'll get into those predictions and how things are looking tonight so far. 5-3 right now. But it's still up in the air. We got to get at least one more to have a winning night, which would be crucial. But to me, regardless of the record, we need the main event and a big slam by Makhachev. And now he takes the back of Perez. And how big is this at this point in the fight? Perez gets back to his feet. He walks himself to the cage, where he can kind of prevent Makhachev, working full circle around him. But he has given up the back, and now he's engaged in that battle again with the hands, and he gets off. And here we go, 250 left in the fight. Both guys center the octagon. Come on, Makhachev, let's finish this thing, man. And he goes right back in for the takedown, but he can't get it. Perez has the upper hand. And this is a great learning experience type of fight for Muhammad Makhachev, right? He's just 23 years old. You got to figure at some point he's going to run into the wall. He's going to run into a tough fight. It's not like he's totally dominant in this division just yet, but he's on his way. And these fights right here are going to pay dividends later on when he's 27, 28, 30 years old. Make no mistake about it. He's going to be around for a while. Now Perez laying on top of Makhachev once again. Makhachev down on 2 knees. And Perez just leaning on his back. Trying to get the hand underneath. And Makhachev stands up once again to relieve pressure as we approach the final 90 seconds of this fight. This fight may go to a decision, but again, what a day it's been. And when we get to the break here in about 2-3 minutes in between this fight and the Petrino versus Pedro co-main event coming up next, you're going to see some of the reactions from earlier tonight, including Vinicius Oliveira's arguable KO of the year, the flying knee. You're going to see that reaction that we had to that. I mean, it was incredible. In the final, 20, 30 seconds? And how Oliveira survived round 1 earlier tonight, I don't know. But he came back to get the KO victory. And that kind of saved the day for us. That got us back to 2-3. And then you get Eric Anders wins. Then we're back to 3-3. And then all of a sudden we're on a 4-fight win streak. And now Makhachev's going back to his knee without Perez on him. He's getting tired, man. And I'll tell you what, he's leaving this thing in the judge's hands. And I don't know who's going to win, but I can tell you this. Makhachev won round 1, and rounds 2 and 3 were paper thin. Thin margin. Round 2 especially. I think you can probably give this round to Perez as he's had more control here. There's not a lot of action in terms of striking. Now Makhachev takes the back here at the end of the round. 3 seconds left, 2, 1, and that's the fight. And it's kind of your typical flyweight fight. It just drags out. There's a lot of technique involved. Good takedown defense, good ground game from both fighters. And it doesn't always look great, but that's just a testament to both of them. Their ability to defend takedowns, their ability to stand back up once they get taken down. They're both giving up their back and finding ways out of it. So as we await the decision, it looks like it's 64-52 Makhachev in total strikes, 60-29 in significant strikes. See, that's big to me. 47-17 in head strikes. Control time, both guys over 4 minutes of control time. but Makayev 3 for 19. Think about that. You don't always get credit on the judges' scorecards for takedown defense, but I can tell you this: Perez stopped 16 of 19 takedowns. Think about that. You're in the octagon with a guy, and he's shooting for 19 takedowns. And even though Perez didn't land one, he still had the same amount of control time as Makayev, which means he's reversing positions. He's doing a good job on the ground. He's defending takedowns. He's doing what he has to do to win. But the problem is the strike game was overwhelming for Makayev. My only fear, and we've seen this before, is a guy dominates the overall fight, right? Makayev kind of won the overall fight. But the other guy can still win with 2 close rounds on the judges' scorecards. The judges got to judge round 2. And it's very close. And people weighing in are saying it was tied going into round 3, which will lead me to believe Perez might sneak out the victory. And then you got me saying, no, it was 2-0 Makayev. And now we're getting a fresh look at Makayev. And yeah, he does look like a younger guy, but definitely not 23 years old. Here we go. Possible split. 29-28. I don't know who got it. Yes! Muhammad Makayev gets the win, baby. And we're 6-3. Just like that. We'll take it. We will absolutely take it. So Muhammad Makayev squeezes out a victory against one of the better fighters in the division. He's going to love that. And again, this fight's going to pay dividend for him later in his career. But nonetheless, Muhammad Makayev is going to move to a perfect 12-0. And we got a fighter on the rise in a division where we need a fighter to be on the rise and someone to battle Alexander Pantoja. And that guy might be another year or two, but that guy might be Muhammad Makayev. So he gets the win here at UFC Vegas 87. So check this out. We're going to take a quick break. You're going to get a look at the reactions in the prelims. And then we'll come back and kind of break down the wins and losses and kind of see where we're at. We're 6-3 on the night, but it started out really rough. Right now, we're on a 5-fight win streak. But a lot of these reactions you're going to see did not go our way, especially early on. Be right back. Stay tuned. Nice leg kick by Sawadi. All right, shoots in for the takedown. He gets it. Here we go. Oh, Loic gets out of it right away, though. Razabov's back up. But Al Sawadi's on the march. Spinning back kick misses. Pretty even fight here in round 3. I mean, this round may decide it. Loic ducks and lands a left. Now he comes back, big right for Razabov. Oh, boy. Al Sawadi's down. I don't know if he's getting out of this. Razabov's pounding away. And that's it. Oh, my gosh. The big left hand finishes Abdul Karim Al Sawadi. And just like that, we're 0 for 1 on the night. Dang. Yeah, big punch, man, by Loic Razabov. And we'll get to see the replay here, but you expected fireworks with 2 lightweight fights to start the night. And it didn't let down here, and Sawadi looks confused as far as to what happened. Because it happened fast. And here it comes. He ducks the left. Well, it was Al Sawadi who ducked the first one and then got caught on the way up. Boom. And it just kind of slid across his head. It wasn't even a big one, but enough to take him down. And then a couple more seals the deal. So Loic Razabov gets the win here early on. First fight, lightweight division, UFC Vegas 87. Nice kicks by Cunningham. Pushes back Ludovic Klein. Now Klein turns it on with a couple body shots. Comes forward the jab. Here we go. Nice. And Ludovic Klein beginning to turn it up now. Okay, Cunningham covers up. Nice elbow. Final 30 seconds around 1. Ooh, he lands a combo. Left, right, and a leg kick. Ooh, body shots. Cunningham's in a little bit of trouble here. Oh, body kick takes him down, and that's it. Ludovic Klein gets the finish. And good job by the ref getting in there right away. No need for any more to take place. And A.J. Cunningham gave it his all, but Ludovic Klein just continued to surge through this round. 58-16 in significant strikes. And the hype around Ludovic Klein is for real. ladies and gentlemen. He's going to move to 21-4 with this KO. So 2 lightweight fights back-to-back, 2 KOs in arguably the most exciting division in the UFC. And you see the replay. He landed a leg kick to the head, then 2 body shots, and that kind of confused Cunningham in a way that he can't keep his elbows down and his hands up. He's got to give up something. And Ludovic Klein takes advantage in the leg kick, sends Cunningham down, and a couple more punches, and that's it. And both guys get out of this pretty clean, honestly. KO coming officially at 4:36 into round 1. 24 seconds left on the clock. Lightweight division, UFC Vegas 87. CLD now looking for the takedown. Ribeiro getting low, trying to prevent it. And look at this. Oh, CLD pulls him out. Ooh. Ribeiro gets taken down and came down awkward on his right arm. And now he's stuck in side control by Duncan, who goes right to full mount. Man, that's impressive. That's impressive. Oh, now he's opening up. Oh, boy. And Ribeiro's in a tough position here, man. As soon as a guy goes full mount on you, especially at this level, you're in trouble. And Duncan's just pounding away, man. And Ribeiro's going to have to give up the back now. That's not good. CLD's got all types of options. He's just going to pound away, though. Forget the submission. He's going to pound away here. The ref's looking at it, and that's it. Mark Smith shuts it down, and we got 3 KOs in a row. Just like that. Just like that. In a card that's beginning early in the day. Kicked off at 1:30, right? A lot of people watching. We got 3 KOs to start the day. CLD looked dominant here, man. We had this one wrong, too. We're back to 1-2. Christian Leroy Duncan's going to move to 10-1. And we get the replay right on the takedown. He goes to side control. And as soon as Ribeiro turns to try to get out of it, that's when he flips to the full mount because those knees aren't up high. So he can slide his knee over. And at that point, the fight is a wrap. Christian Leroy Duncan's 10-1 here, middleweight division. UFC Vegas 87. Vinicius continues to come forward here, final 50 seconds. Now he's talking to his corner. Get focused, bro. Come on, man. Okay, here we go. Left-right combination. And Sopai is really slowing down. What a comeback here by Oliveira. He just got to close his fight out now. Definitely won round 2 and now round 3 after Sopai dominated really for the first 8.5 minutes of the fight. This guy's for real at 23 years old. But Oliveira, more of a veteran. Ooh, nice left. And Sopai's in trouble. Flying knee. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! And this fight is over, man. That's the KO of the year. And Daniel Cormier, DC, can't believe it. Flying knee finishes Sopai. What a rough way to lose this fight. Because this guy came in his UFC debut and looked dominant early. And then finally, Vinicius Oliveira switched the position late in the second round and just began to take over this fight. And building momentum all the way till just now. It lands a left. Sopai kind of stumbles and he comes in with the flying knee and just ends it. And this is by far, easily, the KO of the year. And boom! Wow. Almost Karate Kid style, man. Unbelievable. And Sopai stumbles back against the fence, then looks over at his corner. And both guys doing this throughout the fight. Quit looking at your corner. It takes one shot to finish the fight, and that's what happened here. Unbelievable performance by Vinicius Oliveira, and man, we needed that. And we're back to 2-3 at least. It could have been 1-4, so that's why you get that reaction a second ago. Boom, nice leg kick followed by the left. Here comes a flying knee. Beam, bro. KO of the year, not even close. Goes to Vinicius Oliveira, and that's going to be tough to beat. And if that was in an arena, the place would have went crazy. But nonetheless, Vinicius Oliveira pulls it out against a tough Bernardo Sopai here at UFC Vegas 87. You got 3 undefeated fighters in a row, including the co-main event, which we're going to get to that prediction right now, between Vitor Petrino and Tyson Pedro. This is going to be a banger in the light heavyweight division. Check this out. In the light heavyweight division at UFC Vegas 87, you got Vitor Petrino, Brazilian, coming in at a perfect 10-0. Taking on Tyson Pedro, who comes in at 10-4. Pedro's 1 inch taller at 6'3". He's 32. Petrino just getting started at 26. Pedro 2-inch reach advantage. Both guys stand right-handed. Both guys 3.1 significant strikes per minute. But the takedown game is heavily in favor of Vitor Petrino. Nearly a takedown and a half per round. Pedro's lucky to get one every 3 rounds. Petrino also 68% takedown defense. Beat Modestas Bukauskas, Marcin Prachnio, and Anton Turkal so far in the UFC. The last two by KO and submission. And he won the first one by decision. So he's won it every which way in the UFC. So well-rounded. Pedro also beat Anton Turkal by KO. Now, Petrino didn't KO him, but he gave up 5 takedowns, so it was a kind of a tough fight. Interesting that Pedro KO'd him quickly in the first round. Now, he did lose to Modestas Bukauskas, who Vitor Petrino beat. So this is why this fight's being set up. It's very confusing. It's going to be interesting, and, don't count out Pedro. He's won 3 of the last 4, but I got to go with Vitor Petrino. I mean, this guy's undefeated. He hasn't lost yet. There's no reason to go against him. I am nervous that Pedro is a good fighter, but Petrino's got to come in and step up to this level and get the job done, and he will in all facets of the game to move to 11-0 light heavyweight division, UFC Vegas 87. Yeah, so, I mean, Vitor Petrino is a beast, man. He's undefeated for a reason. And in each of these 3, this is the 3rd one in a row of undefeated fighters. Umar Nurmagomedov. I think the other is Muhammad Makayev. And then, of course, by the time you get here, Vitor Petrino. And all 3 of these guys are going to be tough to beat, whether it's now or into the future. And you're starting to see this a lot in the UFC, where you got these guys that are coming in with incredible professional MMA records. And Vitor Petrino, Brazilian, is certainly up there, man, with any of them. So we look forward to seeing him fight for sure.
Yes! Yes! Wow! Boom! 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 Dude!
You're watching the Community MMA. And now, back to your host, Chris Cross.
Yes! 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 Wow!
Welcome back. It's your boy Chris Cross. It's about that time for your co-main event. And I'm excited about this one. I'm excited for the last 2 because these are big weight classes, right? Light heavyweight and then heavyweight. And all 4 of these guys in these last 2 fights are capable of getting big finishes. So it should be fireworks, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as promised, let's get into it. This is what it looks like right now. 5-3 on the night. We'll take it. So the night starts out slow, as you saw during the break, right? We lose Al Sawadi. Ludovic Klein wins, as he should. Claudio Ribeiro loses. I thought that would be a win for sure. Javid Basharat, I was like almost guaranteeing victory, and he fell. He looked rough in the final 2 rounds. Then Vinicius Oliveira comes through and saves the day. Eric Anderson gets the win. Then Steve Erceg, Nurmagomedov, Umar, and Muhammad Makayev. So we're on a 5-fight win streak, and we've done this really each of the past 2 weeks, finishing 10-2 last week to get to 43-29, and this card will help us out either way, but we definitely would like to get these last 2 and finish on a 7-fight win streak. The main event's going to be huge here in a minute. So right now, both guys getting, they're already checked in. They're getting announced into the fight as we speak. So this fight's about 45 seconds to a minute away. So Tyson Pedro, again, 6'3", big dude. And I think they said he is yet to go to a decision. And Petrino, obviously capable of getting big finishes too. So he's almost a 4-1 favorite. But that hasn't meant much tonight. It hasn't meant very much. That's for sure. Yeah, there we go. get the screen cleared up just in time for this co-main event. So Vitor Petrino, both these guys are huge, man. Both these guys are freaking huge. So here we go. UFC Vegas 87 co-main event. Vitor Petrino, Tyson Pedro. As we've been saying leading up to this thing and today, both these guys are huge, and they're going to get even bigger in the main event. Really can't wait for that one. Hard to believe Rozenstruik's down to like number 10, 11, 12 or something like that in the division. It's wild. But nonetheless, here we go. Petrino and Pedro going through that feel-out process. And what must it feel like to get in the octagon and know you can KO people and you got this power, but now you step into the octagon with a guy that can equally KO you as well. I mean, it just totally changes your thought process. You got both these guys are just locked in right now. I mean, they're just locked in at the ultimate level of focus. Because you're waiting for that opportunity, but you also can't get hit. Oof. Big swing there by Petrino, but he misses. And if you're just joining us, it's been a wild night of KOs, but we've had 2 decisions in a row, so things have slowed down here as we get into the better fights. You know, you got 2 guys in all the main card fights that are very capable of winning. I mean, even Matt Schnell, who got KO'd earlier, could be Steve Erceg on any given night. I mean, it's just the way it goes in this main card. Both guys are capable of winning. Nice leg kick there by Tyson Pedro to the lead leg. But Petrino didn't even blink. And the first thing that sticks out about Petrino is this guy's legs and shoulders are massive. It's like, oh, and the power there is ridiculous. And it looks like he's got very limited body fat. I mean, this guy is just stacked, as you would expect from a light heavyweight, but he's all a 205. All of it. Well, 206 for this fight, but he's all a 205, if you understand what I'm saying. He's probably 225 right now. Well, I'll tell you what, Pedro better be careful of that right hand, because it seems to me he's moving to his left. He's moving right into it. And when you're righty, that's what you want to do. And a low kick there by Pedro. Petrino did not like it. And we're halfway through this round. Things are starting to pick up just a little bit. I don't know, man. Both guys are really skilled. I just have a feeling Petrino's going to catch him at some point. It's the way I'm feeling it right now. Because Petrino is being like extra patient. Like he's not throwing as much as Pedro, not because he can't, but I'm having a feeling that he's seeing something and he's just going to wait on it for the next minute or 2 and go for it. And we'll see if I'm right. But Petrino is not thrown much here in the last minute, so he sees something. And there he misses on a jab. And it could just be that he's, they're being cautious. We'll see. But as the fight, ticks on, as that clock ticks throughout a fight, you start to throw caution into the wind, right? Because, you got to be cautious. You don't want to get KO'd early. But you also, at some point, have to start looking at it like, I need to win the fight. And a nice left there by Petrino. So both guys know that, and they start to get closer and closer together, as we're seeing already. And both of these guys got powerful right hands. Nice jab there by Petrino. And I'm telling you, man, Petrino's going to catch him. Petrino's going to catch him. And that torque he's got in his hips, I can imagine, is ridiculous. And nice right leg kick followed by a left by Petrino. And we've seen a lot of light heavyweights, right? John Jones, Anthony Smith over the years. But you look at Petrino's legs and you say, I haven't seen that before. I mean, he's every bit of 220, 225, getting down to 205 for the fight. Every bit of it. The guy looks like he could squat 600, 700 pounds, if not more. But at the same time, you got to go to work. I'm going to be interested to see these stats here as we're down to the final 10 seconds. That's the tap. Because it didn't seem to me like Petrino was throwing enough. But okay, he's still up 12-10. You see? That's why these fights are hard to judge, because I'm watching it and I'm like, Petrino is not throwing that much. Then you look at the stats and he's up 12-10, 6-0 on head strikes. So Pedro did not land one head strike. Pedro landed 4 body shots and 6 leg strikes. So Petrino has no problems right now. So why isn't he being more aggressive? What is he seeing that's causing him to be more cautious? You would think that he'd be capable of picking up the pace in the first round. We didn't see that. Instead, we saw both these guys circle. We saw Pedro land some body shots and leg kicks, obviously. Petrino did land a couple head strikes. You know, I remember 3 or 4 for sure, but on paper it's 6. So he has landed head strikes. So Petrino should have won that round, but it's not easy when you're just watching it to say that, because neither fighter really did enough to deserve the round, quite honestly. But someone's got to get it. And I guess especially in the UFC, you have the 10-point must system. Like someone's got to get 10. And that could, if they get a point deducted, they'll have 9. But somebody's got to get 10. It's got to be 10-9 somebody. And that's a tough one to say who got the 10-9. Round 2 underway, first 30 seconds gone, and kind of the same start. Pedro almost trips and falls. Yeah, and, I'm listening to the announcers for a second, but if Pedro's goal is to slow down Petrino, and it looks to me like Petrino knew that in round 1, and very easy round for Petrino. So it's almost like this fight is starting in round 2, which is a tremendous advantage for Petrino if both these guys are thinking that. Now Pedro reverses Petrino and has Petrino's back up against the fence. And for the first time in the fight, we've kind of seen the fighters come together now. And we'll see if this turns into a tie-up or they're going to separate and throw. And here we go again, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I don't know if we're having bad luck or what's going on, but it seems like the last few weeks, or the last few times that we've done the live stream, which has been like, 3 out of 5 times this year, maybe 4 out of 6. We missed 2 or 3 of them. But the last 2 or 3 we've done have just been straight decisions in the big 3. Credit the matchmakers. Now the ref's saying, hey, you got to pick it up. Got to pick it up. And that's why I'm not describing the action, because there's no action. Right now you got Petrino flipped it on Pedro, and now he's just kind of leaning him up against the fence, looking for the takedown. Pedro's going to prevent it. 3 minutes left in round 2. Come on, boys. We need a finish, man. We need a finish. Enough of this nonsense. Here we go. Separate. Let's go. Let's go. Petrino, you got to pick up the pace, bro. It's making more sense to me that he's conserving some energy, but again, you're more than halfway through the fight. You got to start. There's no energy to conserve now. It's only 7.5 minutes left. And clearly now here, as we hit the 2-minute mark very shortly, the pace is starting to slowly pick up. And these guys will likely be in the 30s and 40s in significant strikes by the time this round's over. And then we're going to get 40 to 50 maybe in that final round. It's 16 to 16 right now. I expect them to be in the 30s by the time this round's over at this pace. And even at that, it's well below both of their averages, so they're having an effect on each other. Petrino goes in for the takedown. Pedro spins out of it. Ooh, and a nice jab there. Slides off of Pedro. And Petrino, when are you going to throw the right hand? When are you going to throw the right hand? Been jabbing the whole night. Like, oof. Big leg kick misses by Petrino. I mean, and the pace is picking up, but this is a very tough fight to score because it's just even. It's not fast enough. There's no one's clearly got the edge on the other. It's kind of an even fight, and two even fighters who totally respect one another. And now I'll be curious to see what Petrino does in round 3, because if his goal is to conserve energy and you get into that final round and you know you're there and you can start to let the hands fly a little more, you just got to hope you're not down 2-0 because it's very close. Oh, another leg kick by Petrino slides off of Pedro. And you've heard me say that 2 or 3 times now because it's close to connecting. And another one, Pedro blocks it. So, interesting. There's a tap. 10 seconds left. Here we go again, ladies and gentlemen. Might be headed to another decision, but I expect a wild round 3. Both guys touch gloves. Petrino kind of gives them a look, but they're cool. And not nearly what I expected. 22-19 though. Tyson Pedro. So Pedro more than likely won round 2. At least he should on paper. Pedro should have snuck, or Vitor should have snuck round 1. So what I'm trying to tell you is who the heck knows what the judges are going to do here. It's just these are tough fights to score when you get 2 rounds of light heavyweights throwing just 20 total strikes in 10 minutes. 2 per minute. Neither fighter is even close to 2 per minute. So, but you know, when you're used to getting finishes, you're used to getting big KO shots, your stats are going to be inflated. Because sometimes before that KO, you're ripping off 10 or 12 significant strikes in like 30 seconds. You know, and you're getting a lot of finishes on the lead up to these big fights. And then you get in there with a guy that's equally as good as you. And you got to be more careful. You got to be more cautious. And it brings the numbers way down. But thankfully for both guys, their opponents' numbers are down too. And now all of a sudden, Petrino up to a 6-1 favorite. And I just don't see that. And Petrino comes out with a big right leg kick. And here we go. As expected. Now Petrino's starting to pick it up. Yep. And now Petrino in round 3, probably feeling great. There's the right. There's the right. Okay. Yep, that's what he's been doing. He's been saving the energy. Now there's nothing to save. Come on, Petrino. Yes. Another leg kick. See, and Pedro's not going to be able to match up in round 3. Because Pedro's trying to keep the same pace, and he's got that look like, dang, Petrino, what's going on? Well, Petrino don't have to save anything anymore. You let him. Pedro's going to look back on this fight and said, I played it wrong. I should have went all out in round 1 and forced Petrino into an all-out just battle. Because even if Petrino gets the upper hand a little bit on you, like say it's 40-30 in significant strikes, and then maybe, 65-55, 65-50 going into the 3rd round, you're going to get a very tired Vitor Petrino. But instead, what you're seeing now is the guy in Vitor not worried about energy because there's just under 4 minutes left in the fight. And now he's got Pedro tied up and completely dominating here in the first 90 seconds of the round. Ooh, big slam. Nice by Petrino. Now Pedro works back to his feet. Petrino's got the back of Tyson Pedro. Assuming that Vitor got one of the first 2 rounds, if not both, could have got both, but very easily could have got neither one. But assuming Petrino won one of the first 2 rounds, it would appear that he's building more momentum towards victory here. As we're almost halfway through round 3 and Petrino's just dominated so far. Now Pedro doing everything he can to get back to his feet, but he's having trouble because Petrino's just laying on him. You know, and if you're Petrino, you want to get this thing down under 2 minutes. You know, get this thing under 2 minutes and you've led for the first 3 on striking and control. It's going to take a big performance by Pedro, number 1, to get out of this. And number 2, outperform you in 2 minutes in what you did in the first 3, right? So Pedro's in a world of trouble in terms of winning this fight. It's 26-all in significant strikes, but 15-2 in head strikes. So Pedro just landing 2 head strikes in this fight. Not very good. 341 of control on 3 takedowns for Petrino, including another one here, where that might have been 3. But he's 3 for 5 on the night. So Pedro, 40% takedown defense. And we always talk about that in the predictions. We always take a quick look at the takedown defense, especially when you're dealing with 2 guys like this that are pretty close in numbers. Or you see one guy's got the upper hand in the takedown game. Okay, so what's the other guy's takedown defense? That's a category you can never miss in these fights. And I'd say 7 out of 10 plays a factor at some point. Because how many KOs are you getting in 10 fights? 3, 4 on average? The other 6 are coming down to takedown defense. And as long as you're average, you put yourself in play. But when you look at some of these guys and you're like, okay, they're a good striker, but they got a 40% takedown defense and their opponent can land takedowns, that's going to be a problem. And oftentimes affects the decision that we make in terms of our predictions. Speaking of which, this will be huge for us. We can get to 7-3. 11 fights total. And it's going to be a lot like last week, but we need to get the main event. I am not going to be happy with a good record and a main event loss. It's just not a question. Final 20 seconds here, and Petrino just dominating this round. I don't know if you can make a case that it's 10. And he's got a triangle attempt here. And he's not gonna get the finish. 5 seconds left because he's not underneath. Pedro kind of moving around, but he's just gonna let the clock run out. And that's it. And man, again, we're suffering through a little bit of bad luck because we got decision after decision in fights that make no sense. And we'll know completely in the next fight if it's bad luck because we got 2 heavyweights. And if Rozenstruik and Gaziev go to a decision, then we've got really bad luck. 26-26 at the end, 3 takedowns to none for Petrino. 5:30 of control to just 10 seconds for Pedro. So Petrino just dominating everywhere. The only areas that Pedro really led was on leg strikes. That doesn't always give you a lot. And body strikes 10-5. That counts a little bit. But those head strikes is 15-2. I mean, neither guy has really great numbers. And the striking is very close. So you would think over the course of the fight that Petrino would win because he had, it's even in one area of striking, but he had 3 takedowns and 3 minutes of control. But that coming a lot in a short span, right? It's not spread to like 1 takedown every round. That was like a minute and a half that kind of swayed. This is coming all late second and mostly in round 3. So it's not 100% that Vitor Petrino won either of the first 2 rounds. So I'm cautioning you right now. I'm cautioning you on this decision. We've seen worse. But what makes me feel safe is Pedro didn't really do anything. 30-27, 30-27, and 29-28. Let's go. You already know what that means. And still undefeated, Vitor Petrino. So the undefeated fighters doing their thing tonight, except Javid Basharat. But Vitor Petrino getting a huge win over a bona fide striker in Tyson Pedro. This fight going down in the light heavyweight division at UFC Vegas 87. Yeah, so that's where we stand, man. We'll take it. Another victory. And now we get two good fighters in Rozenstruik and Gaziev. And it's like they're 11 and 12 or 13 and 14, not 13 and 14, 11 and 12 or 12 and 13 in the division. Rozenstruik's like one spot ahead of Gaziev. But what I was surprised at is how low in the rankings Rozenstruik fell. Because it wasn't too long ago, 2019, 2020, when he was on the come up and won several fights in a row. And then he got in there with Francis Ngannou and got dropped in like 22 seconds. And that really set him back, man. That really set him back. And since then, he's kind of struggled, but I don't think he's totally done. But Gaziev, really good fighter in his own right, right? Really good fighter. So we're going to have to wait and see how this thing turns out. EQ weighing in says Alex Perez did nothing, bro. Yeah. And that's because he's facing an undefeated Muhammad Mokaev, and whom we yet to know how good he really is, right? We don't really know how good Mokaev is, but what I do know is Alex Perez is a good fighter. And if Mokaev went in there and got the win, which was tough at times, but he went in there and got the win, and that's incredible. I mean, it's incredible. Because now he's looking up in the division, right? He's looking up. He's saying, hey, I got Pantoja up there as the champ. And I'm coming for you. And I'm just 23 years old. So, you know, you got that to look forward to. Uh-oh, hold up. So Tyson Pedro saying he got bad news. Is this going to be it? Dana White or Daniel Cormier with kind of a sad look on his face. Probably doesn't think he should be done yet. So Tyson Pedro at 10-5, kind of shocking, is retiring from professional MMA. And see, here's the thing, as Dana White says always, when you're thinking like that, it's not good. And you know Tyson Pedro was thinking that before the fight even started. And that led to a lackluster performance, is what that means. But nonetheless, that going down, Tyson Pedro is going to leave the gloves in the octagon. He's done. But more importantly, listen, great career for him, but we got to get to it, man. We got Rozenstruik versus Gaziev on deck, and I think everybody can't wait to see what's going to happen with this fight, right? This fight is going to be, as they would say, bananas. So stay tuned, man. We're coming right back with the main event. This is your boy Chris Cross. This is the TCMMA podcast. In 2023, the UFC generated a record revenue of $1.3 billion. It's absolutely ridiculous. The highest of all time. And does this mean that the UFC is at its height right now? I think you'd have to say yes. Yeah, you go back to like 2016 to 2018, the UFC was taken off. Then you get hit with the 2020 virus, and that kind of sets things back a little bit. The UFC has to adjust, and now just 4 years later, the UFC generates record revenue in the amount of around, or right above, $1.3 billion. And that's for everything. That's sponsorships, live events, all that stuff. And then of course there's expenses and things like that, fighter pay and venues potentially, and all the stuff that goes into setting up these events. But you got to give it up to the UFC, man. The UFC is doing its thing. And the matchmakers, to me, are getting better. As we've seen this year, the fight predictions have been much more difficult early on in the year. I mean, we pulled ahead to 43-29 now after going 10-2 last week. But in the first 4 weeks of the season, it wasn't looking too good for us. We had, in fact, 2 weeks in a row, we were 6-6. And then the third week, we were 6-7. So we actually had a losing record over a 3-week period. The matchmakers are doing a heck of a job. Now, does that mean more people are tuning into the UFC than ever before? Not necessarily. I mean, you just got through football season, right? So they're competing with football. Not as many views during that time, but they still get a lot of views. But now football's over. March Madness is here, basically. It's just around the corner. Basketball, college basketball will be ending. Then the NBA's got a few months before they really start heating up. And then you got all summer. So the UFC is getting ready to roll into a perfect time of the year where a lot of people begin tuning in just because of the lack of sports that are offered. So, 2024 to me looks like it's going to be a great year as well. I mean, you've already had 2 pay-per-view events that did really well. You had 2 guys taking the belt. Sean Strickland went down, and then, of course, Volkanovski went down. 2 titans of the game right now, especially Volkanovski, who held the title for a long time. So what else is to come in 2024? Could it be a better year? Will they generate more? Because if they don't, then you start getting all the boo birds. Oh, you made, 1.3 billion in 2023, but you only made 1.2 or 1.1 in 2024. Forget all that. The UFC is generating in the billions. And that's a good thing for the sport. And that's a good thing going forward. Because the UFC is at its height right now. And it doesn't mean that it's not going to get even larger. It just means right now, today, the UFC is at its height. There's no mistaking it. The numbers don't lie. Dana White announcing today that John Jones will fight Stipe Miocic next.
Dana White privilege.
And it's crazy, right? Because you're like, okay, Stipe, I get it. He was the former champ, but he got dominated by Ngannou, and then you had to sit through the Ngannou versus Jones thing, and that didn't happen. Then finally, after about a year or more, Jones fights Cyril Gane, gets the belt. Meanwhile, Stipe is nowhere to be found. And he was already sliding before that. So how in the world is Stipe Miocic getting a title shot when Tom Aspinall is the interim champ? This is going to put Tom Aspinall on the shelf for a year from now, because the fight's not even announced yet between him and Stipe. That's going to be 4 to 6 months away once it's announced, right? Then after that, John Jones, and you can just look at history, is going to sit out another 6 to 8 months because you really have a year after you defend the belt. So Tom Aspinall is going to be forced to fight someone else. He may never fight for the title because if he loses the interim belt, he's not fighting for the title, right? But that interim belt is lingering over John Jones's head because he's eventually going to have to face whoever the interim title holder is, and I'm sure he hopes that that's not Tom Aspinall. Anyone else will do. Tom Aspinall's a worthy opponent. It's not to say John Jones wouldn't win. He probably still would. But it's easier to fight Stipe and get almost a guaranteed win. You double your salary, right? You face Tom Aspinall and you lose, you get half the amount you would for fighting Stipe, which is an easier fight. So, John Jones is going to go toward the easier fight. And then they say he didn't perform well later in his light heavyweight career because he had fights he didn't really want and he's bored. And yeah, but John Jones is the one controlling all this stuff. He's the one picking and choosing his opponents. So if that's the case, how can we say that he's then bored? He's the one in control. So I just don't like this fight, man. If you say, are you in or you out, I'm saying I'm out. I don't like this fight. And because we have no chance of getting a new champion. We have no chance of getting a new champion. And I think people are going to be upset with this fight. Everybody's upset because it's going to be a dominating win for John Jones. Everybody's upset. Just going to be a dominating victory. He's just going to cruise to victory. We got 3 undefeated fighters in a row, including the co-main event, which we're going to get to that prediction right now, between Vitor Petrino and Tyson Pedro. This is going to be a banger in the light heavyweight division. Check this out. In the light heavyweight division at UFC Vegas 87, you got Vitor Petrino, Brazilian, coming in at a perfect 10-0. Taking on Tyson Pedro, who comes in at 10-4. Pedro's 1 inch taller at 6'3". He's 32. Petrino just getting started at 26. Pedro 2 inch reach advantage. Both guys stand right-handed. Both guys 3.1 significant strikes per minute. But the takedown game is heavily in favor of Vitor Petrino. Nearly a takedown and a half per round. Pedro is lucky to get 1 every 3 rounds. Petrino also 68% takedown defense. Beat Modestas Bukauskas, Marcin Prachnio, and Anton Turkal so far in the UFC. The last 2 by KO and submission. And he won the first one by decision. So he's won it every which way in the UFC. So well-rounded. Pedro also beat Anton Turkal by KO. Now, Petrino didn't KO him, but he gave up 5 takedowns. So it was a kind of a tough fight. Interesting that Pedro KO'd him quickly in the first round. Now, he did lose to Modestas Bukauskas, who Vitor Petrino beat. So this is why this fight's being set up. It's very confusing. It's going to be interesting. And, don't count out Pedro. In the main event, you got Jairzinho Rozenstruik.
Biggie boy.
Yeah, Biggie boy.
Biggie boy. Biggie boy. Biggie boy.
I like this guy a lot. And then he got dropped by Ngannou in 22 seconds, which I thought he would lose that fight back in the day, but 22 seconds, wow. And that kind of took away his mystique, but he's still lingering around. He's still good. But he's fighting up-and-comer Shamil Gaziev, who's a good fighter in his own right. So let's get into that prediction right now. In the heavyweight division at UFC Vegas 87, this is your main event. You got Jairzinho Rozenstruik taking on Shamil Gaziev, who's undefeated, I might add, 12-0. Rozenstruik 13-5. Now, Gaziev's a tall boy. 2 inches taller, 6'4", compared to the 6'2" Rozenstruik. He's 34, Rozenstruik 35. Both guys 78-inch reach. Both guys stand right-handed. Gaziev 6.2 significant strikes per minute. That's ridiculous. Rozenstruik's got power, but just 2.8 per minute. So the pace is completely different in favor of Gaziev, and the takedown game is non-existent. Now, Rozenstruik, a.k.a. Biggie Boy. We like Biggie Boy. Lost to Jailton Almeida by submission. The last one, kind of figured that. Beat Chris Daukaus. Lost to Alexander Volkov and Curtis Blades to lose 3 of the last 4. Gaziev, just one UFC fight against Martin Buday, who he KO'd in the second round. He did beat Greg Velasco at the Contender Series by submission. So this is a high prospect guy against a very good fighter in Jairzinho Rozenstruik, who's just lost basically to some of the better fighters. He did have one setback there that he probably should have won, but that's what makes this fight nearly 50-50. Gaziev is a slight favorite, and I'm leaning that way, but it's hard to count Rozenstruik out. And we just don't know what's going to happen here, because we know Gaziev is good, but he doesn't have the experience that Rozenstruik has. And will that play out? We'll see. But I still think Shamil Gaziev is going to get over the hump in this one. He'll get the job done. The significant strike, double output is ridiculous. And I'm not sure if he'll get the KO, but it is 5 rounds. So more than likely he'll get the KO or finish of some kind to move to 13-0 here, heavyweight division, UFC Vegas 87. Yes, sir. We got Rozenstruik winning this week, and we got to get back in the win column, man. 3-3 to start the year after starting what? What did we start? 3-0? 1 3 in a row. Now we dropped 3 in a row. So this is a big one. Biggie Boy, please, 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 we need you to win this fight at all costs. We can't drop to 3-4. It will be unacceptable. So we need you to come out and win this fight. And he's certainly capable of doing so. I mean, the guy's a flat-out monster. He's a warrior. He's just had some setbacks against some very good fighters. The big question mark in this fight is, how good is Gaziev? That's what we're going to find out. We kind of know Rozenstruik, he's not the best heavyweight, but he's in the top 5. He's one of the top 5 heavyweights right now, without question. I don't even know what his ranking is. He could be 7 or 8 for all I know, but he's top 5 in my book. But he's not beaten the top 4, right? But he's beaten everyone below him. That's why this fight is interesting. This is why the matchmaker set it up. This is an opportunity for Gaziev to make a statement and jump up in the rankings. And we're going to find out what he's capable of. Please believe it. Please believe it.
He's gonna fight. Wait. He's gonna fight. Wait.
All right, welcome back. Here we go. It's about to go down. Rozenstruik versus Gaziev. And what they were talking about during the break is real simple. The strength of schedule. The strength of schedule for Rozenstruik. And it's real. I mean, he's fought some of the best in the division, including Francis Ngannou. I mean, yeah, it was 22 seconds. But I go back to guys like, Gerald Meerschaert. KO'd in 17 seconds by Hamza. And you're like, oh, how good? He's not really that good. Well, he ran off 4 of the next 5 fights. These guys get better when they face some of the best in the world, even if they lose in quick fashion. Just the lead up to the fight and the preparation and the experience and all that. But Shamil is the real deal. So, I don't know, man. I just know we need Rozenstruik to pull this thing out. We need Rozenstruik to come through. We cannot fall to 3 and 4 in the year in the main event. That's going to put a lot of pressure on Sean O'Malley for us next week. And we'll get into that later. But that's what is at stake. This is like insurance. We need Rozenstruik to provide insurance in case O'Malley falls. As we've seen 2 belts already fall or exchange hands or change hands this season. We're only in March. All right, so here we go. Rozenstruik versus Gaziev, heavyweight division fight. And we absolutely need a win for Rozenstruik to cap off a great night. Let's go, Rozenstruik. Here we go. Here we go. Are they going to touch gloves? Yes, they do. And here we go. Oh, Gaziev makes me nervous, man. He makes me nervous. He's tall. Oh, here comes a takedown attempt already. He misses. Rozenstruik knows that's coming. You better start throwing, Rozenstruik. Oh my gosh, Gaziev is huge. Gaziev is freaking huge. And he misses on a left-right combination. A little bit of worry on Rozenstruik's face. He lands a right. It didn't even phase Gaziev. Ooh. And I haven't seen Gaziev yet. I mean, any of us against a ranked guy, a good guy. And I thought Gaziev was ranked, but he isn't. So he's looking to get into the top 12, 13 if he can get a win here. Yeah, I hear DC talking. I'm with him. He's like, Gaziev is like towering over Rozenstruik, which is crazy to see. And Gaziev tries to come in for the takedown. He can't get it. Come on, Rose. Come on, Biggie boy. Yeah, let's pull up that sound, man. Let's get it going. Let's go, Biggie boy. We need it tonight. Where's it at? Where's it at?
Biggie boy.
Yeah. Come on, Biggie boy. Yep. That jab from Rozenstruik is kicking into high gear right now, and we need it to continue.
Whoa!
Please. Okay, Rose. Okay, Rose. And he's throwing some big ones. He's just not connecting. There he lands like a right, but it's more like a jab. Let's go.
Biggie boy. Biggie boy. Biggie boy.
Come on. Ooh. Ooh. Nice jab by Rozenstruik as he backs off a little bit. When he's got those same facial expressions as he's getting older now, kind of like Kimbo Slice used to have. You know, he's just calculating every second. He's just waiting for that opportunity. But what's working well right now for Rozenstruik is that jab. I mean, that jab is keeping Gaziev at bay. And, you know, he wants to come in and try to land takedowns. Oh, a big right by Gaziev. Come on, Rose. It's very difficult for Rose. He lands those jabs, but Gaziev's punching downhill, and that's not good. Now Gaziev drives Rozenstruik into the fence. Oh, my goodness. Come on, man.
Biggie boy.
Come on, Rozenstruik. Come on, get off the fence. And you can see a strategy for Gaziev. Yeah, if it goes to the ground, great. But just leaning on Rozenstruik is going to wear him down. And that's something that Gaziev is so good at. Ooh, nice knee by Biggie Boy. But he's going to be dumped. He's going to be taken down. And now he's on his back in the final minute. And Gaziev's just going to dig that shoulder into the chin and force Rozenstruik down. And here he already goes trying to get the triangle in. Oh, goodness gracious. And I had to go back and look, but I think that's one of the things we talked about in the lead up to is the takedown defense of Rozenstruik. It's not great, and would Gaziev, you know, try to go for it? I mean, even though he's used to winning by KO, would he go for the takedowns and try to wear down Rozenstruik? And that's what he's doing now. So, and this is going to be a problem for him going forward. Not a good look here at the end of the round for Rozenstruik, and we'll see what happens. But that'll do it here. And he was successful early with the jab, but, you know, a jab is just a jab. That's not going to affect the scorecard. So I would have to say Gaziev here at the end of the round kind of took over the round, likely won it. Gaziev is probably up 1-0 as we peek into the stats real quick. Yeah, these guys are moving. Not at a great pace. 13-11 for Rozenstruik. 8-8. Well, that was significant strikes. 8-8 in head strikes. Body and leg shots, kind of not that much. Very close. 146 of control for Gaziev on 1 takedown, 3 attempts. So Rozenstruik stuffed those 2 early, and it allowed him to stay on his feet and work the jab. Here we go. Boom. Snapping a jab. With a little bit of a right. And he was having success there. You know. But as soon as Gaziev gets him, you could see it's going to be trouble. And Gaziev breathing hard. Biggie Boy still looks pretty good. And I think if you're Rozenstruik, you gotta give up a little bit of energy to stay on the feet, right? You gotta move a little more. Gaziev's breathing hard. Seems like he's breathing a lot through his mouth. And I think there's an opportunity there to kind of tire him out a little bit. As you can see Gaziev's mouthpiece coming out of his mouth. He's trying to get some wind. That's what I'm taking that as. And if you're Rozenstruik, just keep your distance. You can't afford to get taken to the ground or controlled up against the fence in the first 3 minutes at least in the round. And he was able to do it in round 1. So that could turn out to be a good thing for Rozenstruik if he can keep this pace up. But he's got to be able to move and not get taken down. That's going to be the key. Yeah, and the corner is screaming for the jab, obviously, to stop the takedowns. Because if Gaziev doesn't feel any pressure He's going to continue coming forward as he's trying to do. Now he backs him off. Gaziev lands a right. Now it's Gaziev seemingly moving well. But he's in the center of the octagon, and Rozenstruik's on the outside, which is right where I want Rozenstruik. You know, because you have more space out there. Keep Gaziev moving. Let's see if we can wear him down a little bit. And that's the game. Gaziev can wear down Rozenstruik with control time. Rozenstruik can wear down Gaziev by staying on his feet. And here we go again. What's the chances we get a decision here in a heavyweight fight? Come on, man. And a nice knee by Gaziev. 3 minutes left, round 2. Oh, nice right by Gaziev. Come on, Jair, get out of there. Okay. 2:40 left, round 2. So already, Rozenstruik approaching that 3-minute mark. I'm going to talk about round by round is just staying on your feet. Staying on your feet. That's your area to win this fight. He's up 34-19 in significant strikes. Looking very good right now, but that can all change with a takedown very quickly. And then anything over 3 minutes on the feet is a bonus. Okay. There you go. There you go with the jab. Oh, nice right by Gaziev. Here we go with the takedown attempt right at the 3-minute mark. Oh, man. So he's got the tie up now. Just shy of the 3-minute mark. So unbelievable. And now we'll see if, what Gaziev can do here to try to steal this round. Right about that time I said. So Rozenstruik getting off in a significant strike. So he's up right now, 34-22. But we'll see now with the control if Gaziev marches right back in that column. As both guys trade knees. You got some fans and audience starting to stand up, yelling and screaming. There's not many there, but it's at the Apex Center, but there are some there. And this is where Rozenstruik's got to figure out how can I, this is what Gaziev wants to do. How can I get this guy off of me? I got to be able to get this guy off of me. There you go. There you go. Nice move by Rozenstruik to get out of it, but he couldn't. And Gaziev spins him right back into the fence. 1 minute left in the round. And this is okay. If you stay on your feet, you still win the round. And even if you go down, you might still win the round. So good job here by Rozenstruik. Key is for the whole round, staying on his feet. Good work, man. Good work. Good work. Stay on your feet. 30 seconds left. And Rozenstruik's not allowing Gaziev really to get the upper hand in anything. And to me, Rozenstruik won this round. Round 1's up in the air. But Rozenstruik won this round. He almost swings out of it here at the tap. And I told you, if this goes to a decision, we are having absolutely bad luck. Because this is a fight that should not go to a decision. Rozenstruik walking back to his corner. He, this guy still looks pretty big, but he's at that pinnacle point of his career where he's at that age where if you're going to make a run, the time is now. Like, you don't got another 2 or 3 years to play with. And this fight is huge for Rozenstruik. right? You win this fight, you get a fight in the top 10. Even if you lose that, you're right back here in a year from now. So if you lose this fight, then you're getting to the point where it's like, does the UFC really need you? You know, there's a lot at stake here for Rozenstruik. And it really is hard to believe he's down to number 12 in this situation. It's like a football team that started out 7-3. Now they're dropped 4 in a row. They're 7-4, and they're on the verge of losing a 5th straight fight. And it's not exactly the same, but it's that situation where you're trending one way at the beginning of the season, or in this case, your career, and now you're starting to slide the other way, and now you're in this absolute battle just to remain relevant. There we go. Both fighters touch gloves. Here's round 3. Yeah, and it is a 5-round fight for sure, as the main event always is. And now what do both of these guys see? How do both these guys see this fight playing out? Are they thinking, all right, 5 rounds? Or is someone really going to go for the win? Because we haven't really seen any shots landed that would make you say, hey, this fight could be finished at any time. Like, we haven't seen any of that. 0. Nothing. We haven't seen any of that. And you'd expect to see that in a heavyweight fight. We want to see someone get finished. We want to see a clear and decisive victory, like right now. But here we find ourselves in round 3, another week at a big 3, and we're going to all decisions potentially again. Unbelievable. And Rozenstruik gets shoved back. And again, it's the same round by round, right? The first 3 minutes, Rozenstruik has got to remain on his feet. And not only remain on his feet, win by a good 10 to 12 significant strikes. That way, if he does get taken down in those final 2 minutes, then it's kind of up to the judges how they want to see that. And he's really been successful in the first 2 rounds. He might have lost round 1, but he could very easily be up 2-0 right now. Come on, baby. Let's go. Oh, no. Rozenstruik took a nice left. Come on now. Pick it up. Yeah, I take that as I take that Gaziev putting his mouthpiece out of his mouth for a second. I take that as him trying to breathe. He's having trouble breathing. He's getting tired. So just keep throwing the jab, Rozenstruik, and just keep the pace up. Yep. Keep touching him. Keep touching him. Keep touching him. Yep. Keep touching him, Rozenstruik. Touch him. Touch him. There you go. Every time he lands, Rozenstruik makes him take a step back. Then he's got to reset. And right when he resets, within 5 seconds, you got to land another jab. There it is. All right. Every 5 seconds. There's another one. Good. And this is good coaching right here. This is great coaching and a great job right now by Rozenstruik. Oh, quickly we're approaching the 3-minute mark. Great. 2:15 left in the round. Okay, this is great because to me, Rozenstruik is beginning to pull away. We're approaching that very important 3-minute mark. And now Rozenstruik lands a big right. 2 minutes left in a round, so he's reached it again. Now, no matter what happens, stay on your feet the rest of the round. Gaziev clearly slowing down. Let's go. Let's go. As much as I want to see a finish, I didn't expect it to be easy, but I expected the fact that Rozenstruik's been in there with some real dudes to pay off in the end. And it might be headed that way right now, as Rozenstruik's definitely touching him a lot here in round 3. This is a big round for him. Come on, touch him, touch him, touch him. There you go. Yep, get out of there, get out of there. Let's go. It's not that his mouthpiece doesn't fit right. It's that he's trying to breathe. He's getting tired. So he's pushing out of his mouth and then back in to kind of get that extra breath. And I'm sure Rozenstruik is seeing that. Touch him. Final minute, round 3. Oh, no. Now Rozenstruik will back off. They'll reset. Final minute, round 3. And this is a great, great round for Rozenstruik. Perfectly done here. And the fight's quickly kind of leaning his way. And you can really, other than a big finish later or something, you can really wrap this thing up now in round 4 if you can repeat round 3. And that jab has just been ridiculous, no doubt. Gaziev lands probably the biggest punch of the fight with a big right. But that's not saying much. 15 seconds left. There's a tap. Let's go now. Touch him. I like it. I like it, Jair. I like it, Jair. All right, 2 rounds to go. He's up at least 2-1. As you see, he's either got some fans or family in the crowd because they're going crazy. Yes. Yeah, Gaziev's looking tired to me, man. We got to finish this. We got to wrap this thing up. We got to wrap this thing up. Jair sitting down. He's got a bag of ice on his chest. Gaziev's standing up. They're getting ready. They're trying to get him to clear his nose, breathe a little bit, try to slow the heart rate down just a little, because Gaziev is taking deep breaths, and the jab is playing a big role in that. And this is why Jair's corner is saying, "Hey, keep jabbing, work the jab, work the jab." And when you do that, it takes his breath away too, because now he's breathing through his mouth more. That's why he's wiggling his mouthpiece in and out of his mouth so he can catch his breath. And that's not a good feeling. And that's all due to the pressure of Rozenstruik. Oh boy. Critical round here for Rozenstruik, because Gaziev could still flip this thing very easily and go right to full control for the next 2 rounds and squeeze out a victory or sneak out a victory. So if you're Rozenstruik, you still really got to be focused in this round now, not let him get any momentum back. Because everything would change if Gaziev can get a hold of him and lay on him, Now it's 46-24. Head strikes for Rozenstruik. Again, he's really pulling away. Body strikes 32-11, 16-2. In leg strikes, and oh boy, here comes Gaziev. Oh, yes, and Rozenstruik shoves him off and lands a left, and now he comes right back. And you could tell that Rozenstruik understood how important this takedown defense right here would be. But now you got Gaziev leaning up against him, against the fence. And this is the first round that this has happened. Really right around that 3-minute mark. So this time within 1 minute, Gaziev's got him. And it's going to be very interesting now for the next 30 seconds or a minute to see if Rozenstruik can get out of this. And he exerted all his energy on the first one, throwing Gaziev off in quick fashion, but then Gaziev shot right back and ran him against the fence. And here we are. But the ref already telling him we got to work. Good. Rozenstruik gets out of there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's go. Keep touching him. Yep. Touch him. 4, 5. Touch him. Touch him. Rozenstruik's got to keep touching him and keep him off of him. But, Gaziev's got to be looking at this like, I got it. I've got to create something right here. Whether that's via a takedown, ground and pound, or I start to pick up the pace in terms of my striking. Something's got to change because right now all the momentum is in favor of Rozenstruik. And what have I said every round? The first 3 minutes is crucial. Rozenstruik's got to stay on his feet, and he has really in each of the first 3 rounds. And he's doing it here again in round 4. Round 1 was the only round. Big right by Rozenstruik. He's feeling it, lands another one. Now Gaziev's talking to him. Now Gaziev lands a right, takes a right. Be careful, Rozenstruik. Just don't give up the takedown. But round 1 was the only round that Gaziev took him down. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, Rozenstruik. You should be feeling good about yourself, man. Let's pick it up now. Get the finish. Should be feeling good about yourself. Keep touching him. All the momentum is with Rozenstruik here in round 4. Gaziev breathing hard. No bounce in his step whatsoever. And really, in order to punch, just kind of reaching out and touching Rozenstruik. So Rozenstruik is really outworking him on the feet. Rozenstruik, again, here in the first 4 rounds, has stayed on his feet for the first 3 minutes. That way, even if he gets taken down, it's still in question as to who won the round. So Rozenstruik, doing a great job here. 1:30 left, 90 seconds left, round 4. And Rozenstruik touching him within every 5 seconds, it seems like. 3 Mississippi. Yep, there it is. 2 Mississippi. Touches him again. Yep. Touch him. Touch him. Okay. That's it. And every time you touch him within 5 seconds, it doesn't give Gaziev that time to kind of square up with you and then shoot for a takedown, right? Because you're getting squared up and boom, you're getting hit with a jab. Oh, you're getting jabbed in the stomach. Oh, you're catching a hook. Oh, a straight leg kick. And they're not even like, most of them aren't even like big shots by Rozenstruik, but some of them just got to be touches, man. And he's really figured this thing out since round 1 when he was taken down at the end of the round for like 2 minutes. And he has clearly won, I mean, not even a question, has won rounds 2, 3, and 4. The mouthpiece coming out of Gaziev's mouth because he puts it out of his mouth to breathe, and Rozenstruik knocked the mouthpiece out and then stopped fighting and let him put it back in. So that was good sportsmanship by Rozenstruik. But at the same time, we need this win right now for the sake of the picks. 4-3 sounds better than 3-4 in the year in the main event. So, I appreciate you getting him his mouthpiece, but we need this victory at all costs. And Rozenstruik still touching him. Gaziev really slowing down. I mean, I don't even think I've seen Gaziev throw in 3 or 4 minutes. Oh, and now Rozenstruik looking for a takedown and lands a right. Oh, and a big left right and drives Gaziev back up into the fence. And Gaziev lands a low knee here at the end, but that's not going to matter. And Rozenstruik fans in the crowd are going crazy. And the only way he loses this fight is by a finish. Okay, here we go. We're getting a look at Gaziev's corner. Gaziev's saying we won 2 rounds, or his corner is, and that's not right at all. He'd be lucky to get the first round. He probably got the first round, honestly. But Rozenstruik has won rounds 2, 3, and 4, so he's up 3 rounds to 1. So Gaziev absolutely needs a finish. And that's a discussion in the corner. Gaziev's trying to figure out what they think the score is. The corner's telling him it's 2-2, which still means you need to go out and win the round. So it's not bad advice, but you really got to think, man. Like, you lost 3 of the 4 rounds. Like, so you got to have a finish. And telling him that it's 2-2 might make him play it safe if he feels like he can win the round. But if you tell him, hey, you're down 3-1, he might go out there like an animal and do something. Oh, is he saying that's it? Uh-oh. And we got a time. The doctor's going to come in, and the corner looked dejected. So maybe that's what the discussion was. And I can't hear what's going on, but boy, Mark Goddard is not happy right now. He said he wants to know what they said to the other corner. Gaziev saying he can't see. No one understands what's going on here. And Mark Goddard says, that's it. And you can't let a fighter sit there and delay, especially a fighter that's tired, right? And it was Gaziev delaying. There's a lot of talk in the corner. Mark Goddard looked over the octagon and was really upset with the corner, wanted to know what they were saying because it's a different language. There's that language barrier. And then finally, Mark Goddard said, that's it. That's it. Because you can't let this guy mess around for a minute or two with the doctor and all this. And we'll see what they say. He just didn't look good after the 4th round. And it's just Rozenstruik continually landed that jab. And we needed that, man. We needed that. That's as good as a KO for me. So Gaziev doesn't come out for round 5. And that's incredible, man. That's an incredible performance by Jairzinho Rozenstruik to get the win. And now he can look up at a top 10 opponent. And guess what? He's very capable of beating a top 10 opponent. And then we'll see what happens. But Rozenstruik gets the win. A little controversy is what was being said in the corner of Gaziev, but the bottom line is he didn't come out for the 5th round, and that's a wrap. Rozenstruik gets the win here. Heavyweight division, UFC Vegas 87. So that'll do it for that fight-by-fight or round-by-round breakdown for Rozenstruik and Gaziev, man. And what a night. So at least we didn't run the decision. So we got a little bit of bad luck, but it's not totally terrible. So we didn't have to sit through a whole round 5 and wait on the decision that would have told us what we already knew, that Rozenstruik is going to win this fight. And that's the way it turns out. So big performance by him. It's great to see. And it's great. Should we just change it now? Let's get in there and change it to 4-3 in the main event before we get out of here, man. We got to move that thing up. So what? We're 4-3 on the night. Or 4-3 in the main event. We're 8-3 on the night. Is that right? 7 straight wins? Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight wins after starting the night 1-3. Unreal. So we're 8-3 on the night. We're going to be 4-3 overall. We're going to be 51-32 overall. I mean, main event I meant 4-3. 51-32 overall. So after a rough start to the season, we hit 10-2 last week and 8-3 this week. So we'll take that. We needed that. Thank goodness. And now if O'Malley can just beat Vera next week, we can get to 5-3 and get back to a little bit of a winning streak and some cushion. That'll be great. But that's the way this thing turned out tonight, man. Great night of action. A lot of KOs. Some, decisions. Some good decision, like good fights. Some fights, But, you can kind of an average card. But a lot of finishes, especially early on here. And then Jairzinho Rozenstruik getting the TKO. So that's the way it goes here at UFC Vegas 87. Hope you have a great day and God bless. Peace.